Yes, that's right. I left all these great things I had in Australia mostly because of... Hi everyone, so Australia is a pretty amazing country. It's got a high quality of life, low violence, amazing nature like beaches and rainforests, plus the people are generally pretty relaxed. So I love a lot of things about Australia. My family are all there. My first 25 years of my life experiences were all there as well. I am Australian, it is home, and I always will feel like it is home. So what would make me close down all my bank accounts, sell my car, give away all of my stuff, cancel all my memberships, cut ties with my homeland, this lucky country? What maniac gives up all these great things? Well, let me tell you why there is actually a big negative about living in a wealthy country like Australia. All right, поехали. So firstly, it was all about this realization that I could work anywhere in the world. It's obvious now because of the pandemic and the whole world has realized that they don't have to go to an office. But 7 years ago, this was a bit of a crazy idea. No one I know was thinking about being location independent and trying as hard as possible not to get an office job. But once I decided this is what I wanted, I had a lot of motivation. But what really kicked me out the door was this ridiculous, harmful tax system in Australia. Yes, that's right. I left all these great things I had in Australia mostly because of tax reasons. I'll explain, but I just couldn't ignore the cost benefit of moving. Okay, let me break it down because I think it's actually really important to share, because maybe you haven't thought about it like this before. Okay, so I had started an online business. I was selling fitness equipment online, mostly through Amazon. I was having the equipment made in China, then sent to Amazon fulfillment centers in the USA. When an item was sold, Amazon would handle the shipping and charge me a fee accordingly. Now, I was kind of lucky because I got into this game a little bit before the hype and it got really competitive. So I started in 2015 and I really was just before the big push and the consolidation of that market. But anyway, there was a moment in 2015 when I was doing my budget for 2016 that I realized that I was going to get hit with this 6-figure tax bill from the Australian government. Now, it wasn't like I was making a lot of money. See, on paper, my business looked very profitable, even though the cash flow statement didn't look great at all. I was actually burning cash launching new products. And the issue was that Australia taxes all the businesses at the same 30% rate. Now that's 30% on my profit. So for most businesses that are mature, that isn't a big deal. Well, 30% is always a big deal, but not as big of a deal compared to me. See, what I mean is the unfortunate trick was that because I was burning cash launching more products, to do that, I was using cash to buy inventory. Now, inventory isn't an item on the profit and loss statement. It is actually on the balance sheet. It only turns into revenue and cost of goods sold when the product is actually sold. But my lead times were like 6 months in some cases. So in 2016, my plan was to buy all of this inventory, but only sell it probably in 2017 and beyond. But unfortunately, the profit looked great and I was going to get taxed 30% of my profit before I could spend the money on inventory. And this ended up being a 6-figure problem for me. Now, if you didn't follow what the heck I was just talking about, look, don't worry. What it was all about was that I was going to not be able to grow anywhere near as fast as I wanted to. And I also thought that the opportunity to grow was not going to last. I wanted to get into the market quickly while I knew the opportunity was there. So then I started trying to work out a way around this growth strangling 6-figure tax problem that I was going to face in 2016. Look, let me just say that I don't have anything against paying my fair share of tax. What I didn't like was that I was actually at a big disadvantage being a startup against the more mature companies. It just didn't feel like a fair playing field. Now, let's say that Australia was actually more like Estonia. Estonia, the tiny little country in the Baltics. Now, the wise people in Tallinn, Estonia, were smart enough to realize that they should encourage startup companies to grow, because when they get bigger, the tax the government will collect will also be substantially bigger. See, a startup company that is successful, they will hire more people, creating jobs and wealth, and then the government gets to get more tax eventually. But Australia is happy to just tax startup companies, stifling their growth and therefore seriously hindering the chances of the startup becoming more successful and hiring more people. So this was information I remember from back in 2015, so I'm sure it has changed since then. Don't listen to the details of what I'm saying, just try to understand the overall message. So roughly from what I remember at the time, what Estonia did was allow any new company to operate tax-free for the first 5 years and only tax if dividends were actually paid out to the owners. And what that means is that the money that is in the business, as long as it isn't taken out by the owner, can reinvest back into the business without any tax getting taken out. If I was competing against an Estonian fitness equipment company doing the exact same thing as me, starting at about the same time as me, well, they would have a huge advantage because of this burden that I had to pay 30% out of my profit before I get to reinvest money back into new inventory and growth. Now, I didn't want to do what every other Australian does, and that is just complain about it over a beer on a Friday night at the pub and then suck it up and try to survive. I'm not a victim here. I wanted to take control of the situation. If those were the rules of the game, well, I will stop playing that game and find a better place to play. I had a choice to make, and that was to do nothing and accept the situation, or do something and think outside the box a little. So it was then time for me to shop for another country where I could operate my business and not be hamstrung by the silly tax rules for startups. And once I started looking at what was possible, I saw there were solutions. Mostly complicated solutions, so I did hire a professional to help me, but I was going to save a small fortune and do the right thing for my business. So sorry, Australia, you are a great country in lots of ways, but you suck at helping startup companies get off the ground and grow. Now, I know Australia isn't the only country where this problem would exist. My guess is many wealthy countries have high onerous tax rules. I don't mind paying tax, but I draw the line when it hurts my business growth and is so short-sighted that if they would just let me grow, I would eventually pay a lot more tax money in the future, create more jobs, and Australia, I think, would be slightly better. Now, instead, I have taken everything out of the country and have no intentions of going back there to live. Oh, and something else that I haven't mentioned is I also get a huge location arbitrage from living in a more affordable country. If you want to know more about my location arbitrage, check out the video here. So there you have it. This is the major reason why I left Australia. Now, I did say that leaving Australia was 90% because of tax reasons, but 10% was actually for personal reasons. See, I wanted to explore the world on an adventure, and working remotely was a great way to travel and make money at the same time. I wanted to learn about new cultures and see what opportunities were actually out there. And I felt I was quite a sheltered little boy in Australia, and I kind of wanted to become a man and get out in the world. So if you're thinking of starting a company, please take a look at how the tax system in your country is potentially going to interfere with your plans. I think most people don't think about this when they're starting a company and looking to grow. Now, I'm not sure, but I hope Australian tax rules have changed since 2015. But back in 2015, that was the situation. So please don't take anything I said as accurate information. It is all old and useless now. Just have a think about it for yourself. And I'm no tax expert, and I won't be answering any of your tax-related questions. Now, before I go, I want to say a big thank you to Anderson Musa. Thanks for your comments and support here on the channel. I appreciate it a lot. You are a legend. Thanks for staying to the end, and I'll see you in the next video.